Hello and welcome to the Creative Financing Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathon Gallegos, here with
Jeff Rappaport.
And today, guys, we have a very special episode because we have a fellow listener and follower of our podcast on the show today by the name of Dustin Hamel. And I believe you're out of Fresno, California. Is that correct, Dustin?
Yeah. Fresno. Well, actually out of Clovis, but yeah, most people don't know where that's at.
I don't know where that's at.
Me either.
Okay. So Jeff, you know Dustin from a mastermind. So tell us why you wanted to get him on the show.
I actually met Dustin because he reached out to me through the podcast, and then we realized that we were in the same mastermind. And we met last summer, right, Dustin, in Salt Lake for lunch. And
yeah.
Then we've been in touch a few different times just to talk about questions and deals. And so he called me the other day and told me about a great one that he just did. So I want to get a little background information from you. So I'm going to leave it to you, Dustin. How'd you find it? What is it? And we'll go from there.
Well, to preface that, could you just give us a little background of your business in real estate, how long you've been in real estate, what you're doing now, that kind of thing?
Good idea.
Sure. I started investing probably about 15 years ago, but it was kind of more of a passive pastime, doing some buy and holds and a few flips, and had done several 1031 exchanges and had kind of just kept rolling, one flip to another flip to another flip to four flips to a larger. And then I'd gotten into a property where I was doing some land development. And I did a small PUD subdivision of 13 lots plus a remainder, and had built a couple of models and had gone through this long, tedious process of entitlement, because it actually needed, not only did it have to be rezoned, but it had to be, I had to do a general plan amendment, which meant there was quite a few moving parts. And I had a neighborhood that had organized itself against me. And so it was quite a deal to get through that process. And when I finally, 2000s, actually got the development and the subdivisions done. So that hurt really bad, because 2008 came along and kind of wiped me out. I stepped away from doing any kind of investing for a few years, and then started getting back into it. Now, currently, I do mostly flipping. This will be a buy and hold, the property we're talking about right now, at least for some time. And I'm just starting to do a little bit of wholesaling, but that's kind of new to me. So,
right on. So you've been into it 15 years now, you said? Yeah.
I started in about 2000. I'd say about 2002.
Awesome. So you kind of done a little bit of everything, I guess.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity. Well, the wholesaling is new to me. I've got one that I'm wholesaling this weekend. That'll be my first wholesale.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but buying and flipping and holding, things like that, quite some time, and did have an opportunity to do some land development, not only for myself, but I did it for other people as well. So,
gotcha. So, how's the market there in Fresno, or your small town?
Yeah, we're in Central California. Market is good. The pricing in our area, median income's probably around $230,000.
Oh, okay.
For in Fresno, and in Clovis, it's probably closer to $3.
Gotcha.
Things are selling pretty quick. Days on market, I couldn't tell you exact days on market, but I would, per zip code, it changes a little bit, but probably not more, averaging not more than like 30 days on market for most properties. So it's pretty good.
It's kind of comparable.
Yeah.
To here.
I would say it's very similar to Salt Lake as far as prices and the market. I think Salt Lake area will fare better than California in most, downturns, because I think they've got a lot more stable, the amount of businesses that move there. I just think you guys have a better market in general. But
gotcha. Well, cool. Let's dive into the deal that you structured creative financing on. So tell us how you found it, first of all, and then kind of give us some numbers on it, ARV, what you're looking to do with it, or what it makes as a rental. And then let's dive into what he structured for terms? Because I know you kind of had a conversation back and forth with Jeff about it a little bit. You were telling me, so let's get into that.
Yeah, before I jump into it, I just want to tell you guys thanks for doing this podcast. I've listened to, I think, every episode twice, and it's been a great resource for being able to, I don't fancy myself as a beginner in any way. I've read a lot of books on creative financing, and it's one of the areas I think is really kind of exciting. And, but yeah, actuals that you guys share, it helps a lot to see, okay, how do these pieces go together? How do all these theories and parts actually work? And so that's been the thing that I think is really missing in a lot of other content that I've consumed, either through audio or through books. So anyway, thank you guys for putting the time and the effort into it.
Yeah, thank you.
I did speak to Jeff different times. Jeff's a good guy. He's more than willing to share his experience and his knowledge. What had happened with this deal is it actually was a postcard that had gone out, and the lady that was selling it, she'd had a few different properties. She was up, quite older in age, and wanted to sell off so she could inheritance to her kids. And so originally when this kid had come in, she had said she wanted like $290,000 for this duplex. And there was a duplex, same exact floor plan, everything on the same row. The only real comp I could find in recent years, and it had sold for $305. And so I thought, well, this isn't a deal. She wants retail, and I kind of put it to the side. My assistant had contacted her and kind of kept in touch. And she'd come back, and another investor, I guess, had gone out to see the property and had offered her $235 for the property. And so they kind of maybe talked her into like, this isn't a realistic number. And she was down in that number now. And they had done something to not make her happy. And so she was open to taking a second person's look at it. And she was very structured. She wouldn't even let us come look at the property. She's like, I'm dealing with this person, and I'll let you know if things don't work out with them. Like, she wouldn't even entertain multiple people at one time. So then I said her, deal with you only, right? And until we either make a deal or don't. And so I had her over to my office, and I talked to her, and I said, okay, she wanted a little bit better than $235. So, well, let me go out and take a look at the property. But let me tell you, while we're here, that there's another option other than just a cash price. And I pulled up and told her, I said, look, with an amortization schedule, and I showed her, I said that 3%, you're going to make like an extra $70,000 over the next 10 years if you'd like to do something like this, and I showed her everything. I said, this is how it would work. I said, I'd make a payment to you of $800 a month. And the reason I came up with that number, I kind of explained it to her. I said, I need to have some money in reserve for capital expenditures and for vacancies and for property management and taxes and all these other things that you wouldn't be paying any longer. Because a true amortization on a $235,000 purchase, or actually I had told her, at $245, with $10,000 down. That was the original what I told her. I thought we, maybe look at doing, because this was something she was going to be giving to her daughter. She was like, no, you know what? I don't think that's going to work out. I kind of want to give her the, be able to give her the money and just sort of do this thing. I said, okay, let me go out and take a look at it. Went out and walked the property, and honestly, at the 235 or 245, I had two tenants already occupied in there, and I just didn't see it as making it. There wasn't enough cash flow in it. There wasn't enough reason to buy it or to try to flip it. I mean, the whole thing, I was just kind of like, this. In my mind, it was too slim to want to do. But while I was walking the property, at the end of it, her daughter, who was the one that was showing me the property, a different daughter, not the one she was giving the money to, said, my mom wants to talk to you about that financing. Can you give her a call? I said, sure. So I called her up, and we talked over the phone. And the only concern I had about the property was this roof. It had some leaks. I didn't go up on it at the time. The tenant had said, yeah, it's kind of, soft in some areas. And so I told the mom, I said, we can do this. She was fully on board. We talked about it over the phone. And then I told her, let me go out and take a look at the roof, though, because that's my biggest concern. And after looking at it, it was an expensive roof because it's kind of a semi-flat roof. So it has to be like a rolled roofing material instead of a traditional like asphalt or
it's
comp.
like the membrane
Yeah, you'd
stuff.
have to go with something like that. And so the roof repair plus the fascia repair was going to be somewhere in the range just over 20,000.
Wow.
And so I said, look, you know what, this is really expensive for me to come out of pocket that and to come out 10,000. And because, you know, there's all this extra cost, you know, I don't think I can do the 245. I think, you know, what I could do is I'll match the 235. So we come down 10,000 in price. And then I'm not going to give you anything down. That 10,000 to stay with me. So she was fine with that. So literally it became a no money down. I paid the closing costs, which was about $2,600, and setting up just, you know, and I showed her, and what I thought was important, I don't know if this was important in any of the other people that might be looking to do this, but I had showed her how there's a processing company that will actually receive my payments. They will impound the account and pay the taxes and insurance. They will send the payment to her. Like, it's all fully functioning and automated. And that was one of the things that really, like, to her was, she's like, this is a really nice little system you have going, because she felt comfortable with, she's not going to have to do anything to manage this. Right. And she's going to be it's going to be taken care of, like, you know, all the taxes and the insurance and things like that. So that was something that stood out to her, that something she liked.
So you set up a third-party escrow company?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was something I think helped her or was attractive to her.
Yeah, excellent.
So I just throw that out there that, you know, it's more comfortable. And it's not very expensive. I researched a few different ones, and I think the one I'm using is going to end up costing me, with the impounding and the, you know, everything, like $24 a month.
Yeah, super cheap.
Yeah, I'll cover that cost inside of my payment. So the $800 a month is actually not a full amortization, because at 235 at 3%, it would be much more than that. I have a special amortization I made for her, so it's not showing me, but I'm basically making $212 towards principal every month starting, and it grows from there. But she'll make $66,000 more of interest over that 10-year, and my balloon payment will be ARV on that property is probably around 305. So I'm in at 235. At the end of the 10-year term, I'll be at 205. Oh, this is the great part. Almost forgot. So,
I wouldn't have let you.
No, you know, I had actually inserted a lot of the terms in the terms deal. I had added that if they wanted to sell the note, that I would have a first right of refusal, because if somebody's going to sell a note, they're going to have to discount it, and I should have the option to buy it at the same price that somebody else is willing to. She was fine with that. Then I told, she wanted to make sure she got all of that interest payment, and so I told her, I said, well, then we'll put a substitution of collateral in there, where if I sell the property for some reason, then I can move that over to another property. And Jeff had walked me through some of the, you know, the terminology, but I just put equal to the same loan to value, or at that time that I'd purchased the property. So that's right. And then I put a third little phrase in there that allowed me to split it up. So if I wanted to put it on more than one property, I could put it on more than one property, so long as they all equaled a greater than the loan amount and greater than the loan to value at the existing. And she was fine with all of those things. She took a day or so to review everything, actually 2 days to just kind of review everything, read through it, make sure she was comfortable with it, which I was glad she did, because I didn't want anybody to come back and say, you know, hey, her daughter was always with her. She's an elderly lady, and I didn't want anybody to come back and think like I was taking advantage of her. She knew what she was doing, and this is what she wanted. But yeah, it worked out really good. So now I've got this property that they have one unit, the 2-bedroom, rents for $850. The 3-bedroom, the guy had moved over from the 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom, so he's paying $850, but it was supposed to go to $950. So I put a property management company in place already. We just closed 3 days ago. The 8 on the 2-bedroom, and then the $850 on the 3-bedroom is going to, over the next 2 months, move to $1,050. So I'll have $2,050 in cash flow coming in. I'll have a payment of $800 going out, and then my taxes and insurance is about $325 total. So, and then property managers, you know, probably about $150. So all in all, I'm probably about $1,400 with, you know, putting aside a little bit of money towards things, and $2,050 cash flow. So I'm like $650 positive cash flow on the property. I do have that looming roof repair I still got to deal with at some point here. So, but
With zero down's a good deal.
Yeah, it was excellent. I mean, $2,600. I can't believe it. I mean, it's in Clovis is a nicer town than Fresno, so this is in Clovis, this duplex. It's not in the best part of Clovis, but there's really not a real bad part
Okay.
either. So it's a great property. I didn't think I would have ever owned this. I would have never have bought this property or any property around it like it without something like this in place.
Right.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to just hold it? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to fix it? What are you going to do?
Well, I think I'm going to hold it for a little while. I think it would make, and I don't know if this even makes a difference to most people, but I think it would make my seller happy if I kept it for a little while.
Sure.
And it's going to bring in some good cash flow. And so I think I'll keep it like that for maybe a year or two, let it stabilize. I think I can even move the rents a little bit more.
12 months gets you long-term capital gains too.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Really good point. So, I'll give it a little bit of time, and then I think I might try to put it out there with owner financing, some kind of terms deal on the other end, so that I can make even a better cash flow and not have any of those repairs. And so I don't know if I'll do the roof or I'll pass that along to the next guy and give him some kind of a discount. So that's kind of my thoughts.
You got lots of options, and the worst is, $650 a month cash flow. So not too bad.
Not too bad.
No, it'll be like $7,500 for the, per year or so. I'm just rough math in my head. And then the 10 years. So there's like $75,000 in potential cash flow. Granted, taxes will go up, but so will my rent. So I'm just, averaging it out there. And then I'm into it with a pretty good spread in the beginning, because it's like I said, the ARV is probably realistically around $305,000, and that's why I would never buy this property normally, like a property like it, because it just wouldn't have cash for anything. I mean, somebody might make next to nothing if they were to put $30,000 to $50,000 down.
Right.
Yep.
So was this property free and clear?
Yeah, it was free and clear. She'd owned it for quite some, she'd bought E3. So she'd owned it for, what are we looking at here? 25 years, something like that.
25 years. Okay. Nice. And did you do did you just do a trust deed and note then with her?
Yeah. So title transferred. So it's in my name. She took back a trust deed and note. Yeah. So the note has the 10-year term on it though. So
nice.
She wanted something shorter, and I just explained to her. I said, here's my concern. Her name is Rose. I said, Rose, here's my concern is that I believe we're at kind of a high point in this market, and I think there is going to be a correction. And she was old enough to, to have seen these things multiple times. She knew in a situation where it could correct and come back. And so that, I don't end up in the situation where I've got a property I'm underwater in, and then I'm owing you, and like, that's not good for you and it's not good for me. So if we do this, you'll make more money, and it'll make it so that it's going to be a lot smoother process.
That's great way to approach it.
Yeah. And I think your approach of looking at it long-term with her and saying, look, you're going to make $70,000 more if you do it this way. That probably mattered. That bottom line price probably mattered to her in the end. And you were able to give her enough security. She felt trusted with you enough to pull the trigger on it.
I'll share one other thing that was, I think, important in our conversation. And I don't know if other people would be able to, they could maybe modify it for their own situation. But my dad started a pistachio farm years ago, and it just started producing in the last, say, 5 years. And so I've been getting about 4 or 5 times a year, I get money from this farm. I just told her, I said, this is kind of a way that you can leave something to your daughter that every month she receives a check and it reminds her of you. Right? Every month she's going to get this check, and it's going to be like a little gift from you that's going to remind her. I said, I get that money from this farm, and every day or every time it happens, I'm just very grateful. I'm very, very grateful to my mom and dad for providing that opportunity and that situation for us. And I think that was something that rang true with her too. She knew her daughter didn't need the money right away. And so, 10 years from now, her daughter will be like 70 something. right? So it'll be, she says she doesn't need the money right now. And so I think that was something that appealed to her, is this idea that it's like a perpetual gift versus a one-time done.
Yeah, very interesting. That's an excellent approach, actually, to bring that up, because you got to find where people's hot buttons are, right? And the legacy is probably hers.
Dustin,
If she
let me
needed
ask.
the money, of course.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So I have one quick question for you. So you got a 3% interest rate. How did you pick that, and was that ever an issue with the seller?
So originally in my mind, Jeff, I had actually thought I would prefer to do a higher purchase price with a principal only payment. So in my mind at first, when I was thinking this, I was like, I would have gone, they were offering $235. I would have offered her like $265 and a principal only payment of like $1,000 a month. And that actually would have been much better for me. Because you think about that, over 120 months, I paid it down 120 grand, all principal.
Right.
I wouldn't be owing 205 at the end. I would be owing 145.
Right.
But I was concerned about, I talked to my attorney, and I was concerned about there's that rate. Not my attorney, my accountant. And so I know there is some, I need to look into this, but I know there's some exceptions to that there are, certain price points and certain other things. I didn't know that at the time. And so I need to look into that a little bit more for my next time that I approach this. But I put the 3% because I thought, well, it was enough that she would, be making a decent return. There was never a discussion about, oh, well, can we get 3.5? Why can't we do this? The interest rate never became a problem. But I wish I could have possibly done, and I don't know if I could have, but like a principal only, I would have given her a higher purchase price. But as you can see, it would have put a much better deal together for me. So. Yep.
It's still a pretty good deal.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm not complaining.
Okay, good.
So, can you talk a little bit about, is this your first creative financing offer, I guess I should ask first?
Yeah, actually it is. Not my first offer. It's the first one somebody's actually done. Take me up on. I've made offers to people here in the last 3 months or so. I've regularly been making that as multiple offers, saying to people, I can do a short term, right? Where if I'm going to flip it, they can hold it for 5 or 6 months, and I can give them some extra money for not having to get a hard money loan, right? Or a private money loan that's more expensive. And so I've been making that option to people. And then I've been giving them a longer term, but no one has yet been willing to take me up on it. And I think one of the things I had a hold up on at first was the whole balloon payment. I was trying to get like a full 30 years, because I don't like I still don't like the idea of, but I'm warming up to it a little bit. So.
Okay. So I just wanted to emphasize the point of like, where do people begin with using creative financing? Because I think a lot of our listeners, that's probably where they get stuck, is how do I begin? And what you started doing, and what we always recommend on the show, is at least make one short-term offer. And that's what you've been doing. So I just wanted to touch on that point, because it's kind of a sticking point for a lot of our listeners out there, probably, is where to begin with creative financing. And it's just like you've been doing. Hey, I can give you a cash offer, or I can make you a short-term financing offer for, 6 to 8, 10, 12 months.
Yeah, I think I've been approaching it maybe not as, I actually called Jeff. We had a previous conversation to even this deal. I called him up and just said, hey, I'd love to hear some word phrases, some word tracks, and things that kind of way to approach these conversations. Because I think maybe I'm not presenting the information as well or to people, and because I just wasn't having a lot of success with people even opening up their minds to looking at it. because I just think if they really look at it, there's been several people I have made offers to that I can't see why they wouldn't have done these deals. Granted, it's not for everybody. Every deal doesn't work out, but there was ones I thought that it made sense for them that they still didn't do it. And I was like, maybe I'm just not presenting this information good enough, So
What advice did you give them there, Jeff?
I think take some practice too.
I don't remember. Dustin, do you remember what our conversation was like when you asked me those questions? Because I don't remember exactly what I told you.
Well, you had said you just kind of walked through some of the ways that you present the information. You just said, hey, this is kind of what I do. And we didn't really go into specific like word tracks per se, but or terminology. You just kind of walked it through like in a sense of this is how I present my offers. I give them multiple offers. I give them an LOI. I show them these things. And so that was kind of what we had talked about at the time. So.
And to me, there's really two ways of doing this. One is similar to how we do it, which is just put them all out there and then explain it after the fact, which is easy. But I also don't get, you were able to find out about a 10-year term because you're having conversations with the seller. I'm not having those same conversations. So it's what I go after strictly without any information. Or second, that you have an appointment, you meet face to face, and you have these conversations and you dig deeper. I think either way works. It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish, but I'm super impressed that you took information. I know you're not a newbie by any means, but you still took new information that you were struggling with that wasn't coming together right immediately for you, and you kept persisting at it. And now watch what's going to happen. All of a sudden now you're going to get more deals accepted because you had that aha moment, that get over the hump kind of situation. And now all of a sudden you'll be more comfortable presenting them, and you're going to get more offers accepted. And
you have another tool in your tool belt.
The other thing is just, finally having an example that I can point to is like, when I'm talking to other people, and I'm pretty sure once I get everything lined up with her and the dust sort of settles and she starts getting some payments, I can easily go back to her and say, hey, would you do a testimonial for me? And that would be really powerful in helping other people. Because I think, there's a little bit of a mental and trust exercise that people have to go through. And so that's my plan, is that, once I have things moving smoothly for her, getting payments each month, that I can go back to her and ask her to, speak to the process. So.
Right. Yep. And you can always refer to that and say, hey, this is what I did with this lady and this is how it's working out. So this might be something that you're open to. And I want to make sure I present that to you as well.
Yeah. The one that we talked about, Dustin, when I told you I was working on one very similar on a smaller deal. Yeah, I'm selling it outright. It's closing next Friday. So, I'll just have the substitution of collateral money like end of next week. So, and I told the seller, he's like, great, good job. So,
yeah, he doesn't even care. He's just, hey, send me my payment, right?
That's right. No, I called him yesterday. I'm like, where do you want the payment? Oh, yeah, I probably should let you know that. By the way, I'm selling the property. Oh, already? Yep.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah. Creative financing is best because it just gives you so many different options. And when you have all these options and all of them are good, it's really hard to lose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's true.
We appreciate
the worst case scenario if you take one.
Yeah, that's right.
No, thank you guys. I really appreciate you. Like I said, it's been a really enjoyable for me to listen and learn from you guys. And thanks, Jonathon, for taking the time to put this together, and Jeff for sharing your knowledge.
Anytime.
Yeah, I just leverage his knowledge. That's all I do.
You're a lucky man.
Nope, and we love to hear these kind of stories. So we plan on hearing a lot more from you.
Yeah, for sure. When you any other creative financing deals you do in the future, definitely give us a shout out. We'd love to get you back on to just talk about it, because like how you want that testimony for for any of your future sellers. I mean, you're that testimony for us right now.
Yep. You're awesome, man.
Happy to do it. Thanks,
Cool,
guys.
man. Any last words?
No last words. Just say, go out there and, do something with it. I think that's the biggest thing is that if you don't make those offers, you can't even learn. I mean, there's only so much you can learn without doing something, and then you'll learn the rest. So,
you know, what's really cool, this is my final word, is that we do this because I really feel like I want to make an impact on people's lives. And I really think with what you just did, that this is going to make an impact on people's lives. Now, people are going to say, look, I can do that too. And even though as much as I say it, like I'm nothing special, I don't have I'm not a PhD in mathematics or, it really isn't about that. It's about being persistent, learning how numbers fit together, and then going and presenting offers. And I really think that your story is going to be an impactful one for people out there. So thanks, Dustin. I appreciate it.
Excellent point. Cool.
Can I throw one more thing out there as just a suggestion?
Yeah.
So one of the things I used was this calculator that I had. I don't know if it came to me through Jeff, but it came through that route. And it was helpful because I had never even thought about the fact that I could make a less than a full principal and interest payment. And that's what I'm doing here. And it makes my cash flow really good.
When you say calculator, are you talking about just a...
So someone developed a calculator based on the way that I kind of structure my simple interest type. You're one of like only a handful of people that have ever seen it. And I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to give it out. I didn't develop it. They took my theory, but they developed it. So I'd have to do a little checking on that.
Well, maybe you could develop your own.
Maybe.
You're not giving somebody else's thing away or anything, but it just was helpful because I would have known how to do that. And using that, I was able to provide her with an actual amortization schedule that showed what I was making in principal payments every month, all the way through the whole term, and interest all the way through the term. And I made it part of our purchase and sale agreement. And so it's all like, it's all visible.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I can see right now, Jonathan's looking at me like, you have a calculator? Yeah. Why don't I have a calculator?
Why don't I know about this?
Thanks, Dustin.
Sorry, Jeff. It's just really helpful, so maybe you can make something similar. Like I'm never having that guy on again.
See, we talked about that. We've talked about that multiple times.
Yes.
And you did mention that you had someone that was developing it, but
yes,
I never heard.
Well, they developed it. I don't know that it really belongs to me, though. So I'm not quite sure what the situation is with it. So
you'll have to find out.
But somehow it's fallen into Dustin's hands. So
excellent.
Nope.
Well, we're gonna have to find out about that for the rest of our listeners, because now everyone out there is gonna be like, "Well, I want this calculator too."
Well, you'll have to rate and review us too.
For those who are wanting to do something, they can do it on their own. You basically just take a amortization schedule, and then you make a duplicate of it, and then you say, instead of applying whatever the full principal amount is, you give it the difference between whatever the full interest payment is. So in this case, if my payment's $800 and my interest is $580, the difference for the first payment is what the difference between $800 and $587.50. So it's $212.50, and that's how you do it. Just whatever number you want to give it. If my payment was $900, then it'd be an extra $100 of principal on that, because after I've satisfied the interest payment, the principal is just whatever the principal is left over. It could be, so it's just whatever greater than interest only.
And yep, To simplify even more, if you had like a 3% interest on a $200,000 note, you're paying $6,000 a year in interest. So whatever payment you choose, after you've hit $6,000, it's all going toward principal. And the calculator really only, and here's my calculator, Dustin. You can see me, right? There's my calculator. I don't use the one that was developed at all. So it's not like it's super special.
You don't even get to use your own
No,
calculator.
I don't even use it. So it's pretty simple. I mean, it's like figuring out anything else. If you just know how to push a few buttons, you can figure it all out. But that's awesome. I'm glad that you used it, because you used it in the right way. I know that you're not getting as much principal pay down, but there's no way you get that kind of payment on that amount of a loan, and get that kind of cash flow. Sometimes you give and take a little bit. So, but it allows you to structure offers in ways that maybe you wouldn't have been able to before.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, didn't mean to take
No, you're good.
It's longer than normal, but I just thought there's
and you created this whole kind of issue now, so with the calculator. But
awesome, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Spread the word that this podcast is out here, this resource is out here throughout the clubs there in your market, and we greatly appreciate it.
Let me know how I can help. Take care, Dustin.
All right.
Okay, see ya.
Yeah.